Hey Big Ben and honorable men. Welcome to a brand new 7-minute sermon series that we are calling Husband 101. John, haven't you been married for like 5 seconds? I'm not even married. I'm a girl. Well, I'm glad you're as excited as I am. So to clear a few things up right off the bat, in this series, we are not going to be talking about my opinion. I'm not going to be giving you wise, old, mid-20s advice on marriage. But instead, we are going to do a deep dive into what the Bible teaches as to what the role and duties are for a husband. And so men out there who are watching, if you are single, my prayer is that this series would begin to lay a groundwork for your future. And if you're a female out there, then my prayer is that this series would begin to refine or maybe confirm some of the things that you are looking for in a potential future spouse. And if you're out there and you feel called to remain single for life, like my boy Paul, then my prayer for you is that you would discover that many of the lessons in this series can be applicable to a whole number of relationships. We got something for everybody here. So let's start by reading Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25. It says, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In this same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself." So there are two things that I want to pull out of this text and expand on. First, I want to talk about the writer's use of the word love in this passage. In the original Greek language, there are many different word choices for our single English word of love. Some of them communicate a fondness or friendship type of love. Others communicate a physical attraction or sexual desire. And then there's the word that Paul, the writer, uses here, which is the word agape. Agape is defined by a love that doesn't change. Agape is a love that gives without demanding or expecting repayment. It's a love so great that it can be given even to the unlovable. It's a love that still loves even when it is disrespected or rejected. And it is the same type of love. It is literally the same Greek word that is often used to describe God's love for us, his people. And so we can see already, agape is a serious type of love. It's a love that is not based on feelings or emotions of the present moment, but it is based on a choice. It is a love that chooses self-denial for the sake of another, just as Christ did for us on the cross. So to review, the instruction here for husbands is not to feel romantic feelings all the time for your wife. The instruction is not be attracted to your wife or call her gushy pet names. Instead, the instruction of husbands, love your wives, actually communicates to us, husbands, continually practice self-denial for the sake of your wives. The love that a husband is called to is a love that continually places his wife, not himself, as the most important person in the room. And again, this is not based on our feelings or on our emotions of the present moment, but this is a decision that we make every single day. Regardless of the circumstances, the instructions of Scripture is husbands, continue to serve your wives each and every day the same way that Christ served the church, laying down his life for her. That's what y'all signed up for on your wedding day. Now, the second instruction in regards to love comes in verse 28, where it says, "In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own body." Now, I used to always read this verse as if it were saying, love your wives as if they were your own body. But the verse doesn't say that. The verse says, love your wives as your body. And to understand exactly what the message is here, we have to get a little theological. Bible nerds, Bible nerds. Way back in Genesis chapter 2, we receive God's original design for marriage, where it says a man leaves his father and mother and is united with his wife, and they become one flesh. And again, Jesus himself quotes this in Matthew chapter 19, verses 5 and 6. You see, the covenant of marriage is so intimate, and two people become so closely tied to one another that God actually describes them as becoming one. And when we choose to marry someone, we too become one flesh, one body. And so to bring it back to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 28, what Paul is saying is, love your wives as your own body because they are a part of your body. You are one. And therefore, to neglect your wife is actually to neglect yourself. When you don't love your wife well, you're not loving yourself well. Y'all, this brings like a whole new level to the phrase happy wife, happy life. You get me? What we see outlined in this text is that the biblical call for husbands to love their wives is far higher and far deeper than most of us practice or even realize. But luckily for me, and I imagine for you too, there is grace for us. I know that I will never be a perfect husband. But that's no excuse for me not to know the type of sacrificial love that I've been called to. And one of our chief jobs as a husband is to continually seek to live in that self-giving, agape kind of love each and every day. Hey friends, thank you so much for watching this 7-minute sermon. I hope this series is encouraging you and strengthening your faith. Before you go, I wanted to let you know that today's video is brought to you by the supporters of this ministry via Patreon. Patreon is a fantastic platform that allows people like you to support the creators they love for as little as $1 a month. In fact, if each and every person who watches this video supported this ministry for just $1 a month, we could potentially reach tens, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of more people with the gospel message through this amazing platform called YouTube. And so if you are interested in joining this mission to literally, as Jesus said, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all nations, if you want to help us at this ministry do that, then I highly encourage you to click the link down below and check out our Patreon page where you can give, once again, $1, $2, $5, $20 a month, however you are able. We would greatly appreciate it. That is all I have for you today. I will see you all next week for another video. I love you all. Keep being awesome.